Life is fleeting, but legacies, they linger. Today, we honor those who left their mark on politics, music, sports, and the stories we tell ourselves. From towering senators to bluesmen who play like they were chasing something just out of reach, these are the lives that shaped the world, and now they take their final bow. If you want to keep remembering, keep discovering, and keep history alive, hit that like button and subscribe to Final Moments, because the past never truly dies, it just waits to be remembered. And now, let's begin. Number 1. Alan K. Simpson. Alan K. Simpson, a towering figure in American politics, both in stature and influence, passed away on March 14, 2025, at the age of 93. Born on September 2, 1931 in Denver, Colorado, Simpson's life was a testament to redemption, resilience, and public service. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches, he was as much a physical presence as he was a political force, known for his folksy demeanor, sharp wit, and willingness to bridge divides in an increasingly polarized Washington. Simpson's early years were marked by rebellion. As a teenager in Cody, Wyoming, he and his friends vandalized property, shot at mailboxes, and even set fire to an abandoned federal building. Arrested for punching a police officer, he faced potential prison time, but was given a second chance through probation. Reflecting on those years, he later admitted, "I was a monster." This experience shaped his lifelong belief in redemption, which he championed in a 2009 Supreme Court brief advocating for juvenile offenders. After earning degrees from the University of Wyoming and serving in the U.S. Army, Simpson entered politics following in the footsteps of his father, Millward Simpson, a former Wyoming governor and U.S. senator. Elected to the Wyoming state legislature in 1964, he later won a U.S. Senate seat in 1978, serving 3 terms until 1997. In the Senate, Simpson became known for his bipartisan approach, working across the aisle on issues like immigration reform. He co-sponsored the landmark 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act, which sought to balance employer accountability with pathways to legal status for undocumented immigrants. Simpson's political stances often defied easy categorization. A staunch Republican, he supported abortion rights and gay marriage, yet backed conservative Supreme Court nominees like Robert Bork and Clarence Thomas. His relationships with advocacy groups were equally complex. While he earned the ire of women's organizations during the Anita Hill hearings, he also pushed for reparations for Japanese Americans interned during World War II, inspired by a lifelong friendship with Norman Mineta, a fellow Boy Scout and future congressman. After leaving the Senate, Simpson remained active in public life. He co-chaired the National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform under President Barack Obama, advocating for deficit reduction. A vocal critic of the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision, he called for campaign finance reform, arguing that unchecked political spending undermined democracy. Simpson's legacy is one of contradictions and convictions. He was a conservative who embraced moderation, a plain-spoken politician who valued humor as much as policy, and a man who believed in second chances both for himself and others. As he once quipped, "Humor is what really saved my ass." In a career spanning decades, Alan Simpson left an indelible mark on American politics, proving that even in a divided nation, bridges could still be built. Number 2. Merica Sherwood. Merica Sherwood's journey began in Budapest in 1937, a child of a Jewish family that survived the war but lost many to its horrors. In 1948, she immigrated to Australia, navigating an unfamiliar world while working in New Guinea and studying part-time in Sydney. But it was in 1965, after moving to London with her son, that she found her true calling, unearthing the overlooked histories of Black Britons. Teaching in London, she witnessed firsthand how the education system ignored Black history while Black students faced systemic discrimination. The ignorance wasn't passive, it was curated. Determined to change this, she launched decades of research that reshaped the narrative of Britain's racial past. Between 1980 and 1985, she immersed herself in Harlem's archives, tracing the African diaspora's global struggles and triumphs. In 1991, she co-founded the Black and Asian Studies Association, or BASA, alongside Hakim Adi and others, pushing for greater inclusion of Black history in British education. Her work disrupted the comfortable myths Britain had built around its past. In After Abolition, Britain and the Slave Trade in 1807, she confronted Britain's continued economic entanglement with slavery long after its so-called abolition. Reviewing the book, historian Stephen Shapiro called it provocative and essential for understanding British complicity beyond 1807. Sherwood didn't just write history, she fought for its recognition. When the University of Manchester attempted to censor her 2017 lecture on Palestine, she resisted, stating, "You're doing to Palestinians what the Nazis did to me." The establishment recoiled, but she refused to be silenced. Her contributions extended beyond books. She penned entries in the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, shedding light on figures erased from mainstream history. In 2022, the University of Chichester awarded her an honorary doctorate, a recognition she had long deserved. On February 16, 2025, Merica Sherwood passed away, leaving behind not just books, but an unrelenting challenge to historical amnesia. Her legacy is one of defiance, a demand that the past be told as it was, not as it is conveniently remembered. Number 3, Mark Porkchop Holder. Mark Porkchop Holder lived the blues not just in the way he played, a slide guitar in his hands sounded like a train rolling through the deep south, but in the way he carried himself, the weight of hard years, raw truth, and brutal honesty always just under the surface. Born on December 1st, 1972 in Pikeville, Tennessee, Holder was drawn to music early. The blues weren't just a style for him, they were an identity. He played the way the old bluesmen did, gritty, unpolished, straight from the gut. His technique on the resonator guitar, played without a pick, was instantly recognizable. A harmonica around his neck, a suitcase turned kick drum underfoot, he could command a room alone or tear through a set with his bandmates. His journey took him far beyond Tennessee. Touring Europe and the US, he co-founded the Black Diamond Heavies in 2004, a band that turned hot with raw, electrified blues. But the road was hard, and in 2006, the wear of constant touring pulled him away from the band. He later formed the powerhouse trio MPH with Douglas Bills and Travis Kilgore, releasing Let It Slide in 2016, a record steeped in a sound that felt both new and ancient. Holder's life was marked by struggle, addiction, mental illness, and diabetes, but he never hid from it. "I am the blues, walking like a man," he once told Kilgore. It wasn't bravado, it was the truth. Mark Porkchop Holder passed away at home in Dayton, Tennessee on March 13, 2025. The blues world lost one of its most authentic voices, but his music, his presence, and his stories of hardship, humor, and unshakable honesty linger on. Because real blues never die. They echo, they haunt, they remind us of something true, and Holder, he was as true as they come. Number 4, Virginia Newell. Virginia Kimbrough Newell lived through more than a century of change, 107 years of breaking barriers in education, politics, and civil rights. Born in 1970 in Advance, North Carolina, she was one of 9 children in a family that valued learning. Her father, a builder, taught her arithmetic through hands-on work. She excelled early, winning math competitions and earning straight A's under the guidance of teachers like Togo West and Beatrice Armstead at Atkins High School. Mathematics became her lifelong mission. After earning degrees from Talladega College and New York University, she joined the faculty at Winston-Salem State University in 1965. There, she didn't just teach, she built. She founded the computer science program, chaired the mathematics department, and launched initiatives to support underprivileged students in STEM fields. Her 1980 book, Black Mathematicians and Their Works, was the first to document the contributions of African American scholars in the field. But numbers weren't her only background. In the 1960s, she marched for civil rights. By 1977, she had reshaped Winston-Salem's political landscape, becoming one of the first Black women elected to the city council. For 16 years, she pushed for economic development in East Winston, championed affordable housing, and co-founded the YWCA's Best Choice Center, ensuring low-income children had access to after-school programs. Even in retirement, she remained a force. She organized local campaigns for Shirley Chisholm and Barack Obama, corresponded with Kamala Harris, and in 2017 received North Carolina's highest civilian honor, the Order of the Longleaf Pine. Mayor Alan Joynes put it best: she's left a lasting legacy of bettering our community. From mathematics to politics, Virginia Newell didn't just witness history, she wrote it. Number 5. Slick Watts. Seattle basketball was never the same after Slick Watts arrived. He wasn't drafted, no front office buzz, just a scrappy point guard with a shaved head and a crooked headband who earned his spot through sheer determination. Watts' journey started in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, where opportunity wasn't knocking. At Xavier University of Louisiana, he teamed up with Bruce Seals to lead the Gold Rush to 2 NAIA District 30 titles. His quick hands and court vision weren't enough to get him drafted, but a connection changed his life. Bill Russell, then coaching the Seattle Supersonics, gave him a tryout. He embarrassed the other players. Russell later said, "That was enough." Watts signed as an undrafted rookie in 1973. By his third season, Watts wasn't just playing, he was dominating. In 1976, he became the first player in NBA history to lead the league in both assists and steals in the same season. He ran Seattle's offense like a maestro, dishing out 8.1 assists per game while terrorizing opposing ball handlers with 3.2 steals. He made the NBA All-Defensive First Team and took home the J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award for his work in the community. But basketball wasn't always kind. By 1978, injuries had taken their toll. Traded to the New Orleans Jazz and later to Houston, his career ended sooner than it should have. Yet Seattle never forgot him. Watts transitioned from the hardwood to the classroom, spending nearly 2 decades as a PE teacher in Seattle schools. He instilled discipline and confidence in kids the same way he once did for teammates. Even after a major stroke in 2021, he remained a beloved figure. Slick Watts passed away at 73, but his impact still echoes. His son, Donald Watts, wrote, "You did so much for so many of us. A city, a sport, and generations of students would say the same thing. Rest in peace, Slick." Number 6. Ken Hall. The numbers don't seem real. 11,232 rushing yards, 4,045 yards in a single season. A 520-yard game. These weren't just records, they were benchmarks for generations of players to chase. Ken Hall, the Sugar Land Express, was a force of nature so dominant that even decades later, his name still echoes through Texas high school football. Between 1950 and 1953, Hall redefined what was possible on the football field. Playing quarterback in a single-wing offense, he had the ball in his hands every play, but it wasn't his arm that made him famous, it was his legs. Defenses simply had no answer for his speed, vision, and raw power. His 4,045-yard senior season remains the most by any player in Texas history. His 520-yard game against Houston Lutheran, still among the highest ever recorded. In that game, Hall didn't just run, he returned a kickoff and a punt for touchdowns and even snagged an interception on defense. "I just ran faster than they did," Hall once said, recalling his first breakout run. "Nobody had touched me. I said, this is kind of fun. Maybe we ought to do this again sometime." Recruited to Texas A&M by Paul Bear Bryant, Hall's college career never took off. Bryant later admitted his mistake, writing to Hall and calling it the biggest regret of his coaching career. Hall moved on, playing in the CFL and NFL, but the legend had already been written in those high school fields of Texas. His legacy remains. Inducted into multiple halls of fame, honored with the Ken Hall Trophy, and immortalized by the stadium bearing his name, Ken Hall's impact is undeniable. His story isn't just one of statistics, it's a testament to the kind of talent that comes along once in a lifetime. Texas high school football will never forget the Sugar Land Express.